Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us all today for an online vigil for Brianna Ghey. My name is Felix Fern. My pronouns are he, him, or they, them, and I'm one of the co-founders of Trans Activism UK. Please forgive me if my voice gets a little bit weak. I'm being told to talk and then not being told to talk, so I'm going to wait for a moment. I can see that the live stream is having a little bit of a lag. I'm just going to check with the team if they can hear me okay.
I could hear you perfectly on the Zoom.
Yeah, I can as well. I think there'll always be a slight lag with YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Sorry, my partner's got it on in the background and there's a delay.
cool. Don't worry, it's all good.
So
Sorry,
we
folks.
should ignore the YouTube. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
ignore the
Okay.
YouTube.
Okay. Fine.
Hi, everyone. So, anyone who you might have been able to hear, then you might have been able to hear them. I'm not sure. What some of our speakers will have.
I think there'll always be a slight lag with.
So, yeah, I can now hear a little bit of echo. Okay. Sorry about this, everyone. We had a feeling this might happen. So, I'm going to start again from the beginning. Thank you for joining us all today for an online vigil for Brianna Ghey. My name is Felix Fern. My pronouns are he, him, or they, them, and I am one of the co-founders of Trans Activism UK. Please forgive me if my voice gets a little bit weak. I'm just coming to the end of a cough. Please do bear with us. I'm now going to read the bit that might have been applicable a moment ago. There might be some moments of silence as we switch between speakers or possible technical issues. Our entire community is running on scraps right now, and we are no exception to that. But we've done our best for this to hopefully run relatively smoothly. You'll see I also have Peach with me here, who is my emotional support lizard, so don't mind if he starts trying to climb my head. So, firstly, some house rules. In our live chat right now, we have a team of mods who are keeping an eye on the chat. Please be aware of the language that you use. Anything that could be construed as a hate message of any kind will be removed and you will be banned from the chat. Please do not post any speculation about the team's charge with Brianna's murder and be wary of sharing any misinformation in regards to the case. We'd like to be able to keep the live chat up so that people can speak with one another during the vigil. We've already seen a lot of really lovely messages in there, as we appreciate how hard it's been for many people who haven't been able to attend in-person vigils and be with their local communities. Still, if at any point it does seem unsafe, we will pause the stream and disable the chat. Some of our moderators have experience and qualifications in mental health first aid and grief work, so they are around if their expertise is needed, and they have some resources that they can share in the chat if you need someone to speak to. You may have noticed that there were some resource graphics being shown at the start. We'll also show them during some intermissions. After the vigil, I will post these on our social media with alt text. We'll be beginning the vigil with a speak from a young trans person who got in touch with us via Mermaids. They've asked us to read a speech on their behalf. We will then be holding a 2-minute silence for Brianna Ghey to reflect on this awful tragedy and think of her in quiet contemplation. We then have a roster of 5 live speakers, followed by 5 pre-recorded speakers. We shall then end with a couple of interreligious prayer readings for anyone who wishes to remain for those. So we're now going to pop the graphic up for our schedule for a moment, and then we'll begin. helps if I unmute. I'm now going to read a speech that was sent to us from a young person via Mermaids. I'm an 18-year-old non-binary person from a town very near to Cheshire, and hearing of what happened to Brianna was in such a close proximity to where I've grown up, to where I've attended pride parades, and to where I've met many of my fellow LGBTQ identifying friends. A foundation of my own comfort in my identity has been shocking. As a result, this past week has been incredibly hard, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything that happened. Over the past week, thousands of transgender people and allies have gathered all over the country to honor the life of Brianna Ghey, a wonderful, empowering young girl whose life was taken from us far too soon. Brianna's radiant energy and dedication to uplifting other transgender young people has acted as a beacon of trans strength that we must not give up in the face of the oppressor. The trans rights are beautiful, no matter what anyone may say, and Brianna's legacy will live on despite the efforts of those who are prepared to take that away. I dislike using the phrase gone but not forgotten because Brianna isn't truly gone. She lives on in the positivity she shared and the impact of which she has had on so many transgender people across the country. Brianna will always be remembered for her charisma, a light driving out the darkness, a beautiful soul, and a symbol that we must fight even harder to ensure the safety of our folk, not just in the UK, but everywhere also. Thank you so much, Kate, for sending that over to us. We are now going to be popping up a graphic so that we can have a 2-minute silence before we carry on. Thank you for that. So we're now going to be having our live speakers who are currently hosting over Zoom, beginning with Shira Chowdhury, whose pronouns are she, they, one of the co-founders of Trans Activism UK.
So there was technical issues, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. There's always some technical issues. Okay. I hopefully you can hear me, but I will start again. Hello and assalamu alaikum. Please, peace be upon you. I'm Shira, pronouns she, they, and from Transactivism UK. We queer trans siblings, Brianna Ghey, our trans sister, we queer trans siblings across all intersectionalities, from those of us in the South Asian community and beyond, those with faith and those without, we all stand with you. Brianna Ghey, in remembrance of you, we stand with all of our trans siblings and will remember you as someone who was a beautiful young woman, not afraid to be herself. As like many of us, I don't know you personally, but I will remember you as a child in our community who deserved a beautiful life, but was taken far too soon. I came across you once or twice on TikTok randomly before all this happened. I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, how adorable," and scrolling on. Now reflecting on that, I cannot understate how beautiful that is. We take for granted such small moments of joy. It was fleeting, but I saw those videos and I felt happiness that a young trans woman was just living and doing things that others do without a second thought. Now I think back and go, wow, that's amazing. That is what it should be like. A person living their life, doing things that make them happy, putting it out to the world and giving others a bit of joy. That's just our society. It's the usual day-to-day life, people doing what they enjoy. Trans youth like Brianna, they deserve that. They deserve doing what they enjoy as themselves, as children and teens, just having fun and being their wonderful fun selves. That's what Brianna did. She was herself and leading a beautiful and vibrant life she and everyone deserves. We will stand for you, Brianna Ghey. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Shira. Next up, we have Saba Ali, who is a trustee of Gallup, a BBFP, as well as a CPS hate crime and violence against women and girls officer.
Thanks, Felix. Hi, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. My name is Saba Ali. My pronouns are she, her. Felix, let me know when I can talk. Okay, brilliant. Hi, everybody. I'm Saba. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm an ally to the trans community. And I asked if I could read a poem which means quite a lot to me, and hopefully it will resonate with you. It's called Death is Nothing at All by Henry Scott Holland. Death is nothing at all. It does not count. I have only slipped away into the next room. Nothing has happened. Everything remains exactly as it was. I am I and you are you. And the old life that we lived so fondly together is untouched, unchanged. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my name, Brianna Ghey. Speak of me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes that we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Say my name and let it ever be the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without an effort, without the ghost of a shadow upon it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolute and unbroken continuity. What is this death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind because I'm out of sight? I am but waiting for you for an interval, somewhere very near, just round the corner. All is well, nothing is hurt, nothing is lost. One brief moment, and we'll all be as it was before. How we shall laugh at the trouble of parting when we meet again. Say her name, Brianna Ghey. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Saba. Next up, we have Mandu Reid, the leader of the Women's Equality Party.
I hope you can all hear me. As Felix said, my name is Mandu Reid. I am the leader of the Women's Equality Party. I'm humbled to be here tonight. It means a lot that this gathering's been put on, and I want to start by lighting a candle. And I will then, I'll begin by just sharing with you some words that I shared with the LGBTQI plus caucus within the Women's Equality Party a few days after Brianna's death. Brianna Ghey, it is hard to accept, let alone process, the senselessness of her life taken so brutally. I have attended and spoken at too many vigils for women and girls who have been murdered. And it's the one part of my job that never gets any easier. But if I and those of us who never met Brianna are struggling, I can't even begin to imagine how her family, friends, and loved ones must be feeling. It is absolutely devastating to have lost a young woman in this way. And when you consider what happened to her against the backdrop of the increasing anti-trans sentiment we've seen over the last few years, it is hard not to sink into despair. But we mustn't. We must honor Brianna's life by continuing to strive for a world where compassion prevails over vitriol, hate, and violence. Where as a society, instead of dehumanizing those whose lives and experiences we may not understand, we open our hearts and our minds and hold space for each other, for the humanity in all of us. We must and we will double down on this. We have to ask, what kind of a world are we building when a girl can be robbed of her life in this way? We have to ask, what kind of a world is being built when so many women and girls and so many of our trans siblings across the globe are having their lives stolen from them in this way? What kind of world is being built when hate crime against trans people in the UK has increased by 1,300% in the past decade? What kind of world are we building when even the vigils to celebrate Brianna's life and mourn her death have been targeted with attacks and hatred? This moment needs to be a wake-up call for the media and for the government and for all those who have been all too ready to use trans people as pawns in a political game. Too many politicians, pundits, editors, The likes of them have either participated or chosen to look the other way as our national discourse has become polluted with narratives that stoke fear, spread misinformation, and dehumanize trans people. They want to grind us down. They want to exhaust us. They want us to lose hope. The weeks since Brianna's death have been filled with grief and rage for so many of us, but also an incredible outpouring of love, hope, and unity in the face of all that violence, pain, and fear. It's hard to remember some days, but I honestly believe that a better world is possible. Together, we must double down on this belief. And in Brianna's memory, I pledge also to double down on joy. The hostile environment we inhabit is designed to steal our joy. It's designed to put us in a situation where we can only relate to ourselves through the lens of our grief and our pain. And this is exactly why an unrestrained, stubborn, irreverent commitment to joy must be part of our rebellion. Being on the defensive all the time is exhausting and diminishing. So in Brianna's memory, let us pledge to stay connected to and proactively celebrate every facet of our humanity. Let's remember and honor Brianna by striving for the better world that she deserved and by living and loving each other with abandon, with joy. Let's keep the fire burning in her memory. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mandu. And just one small note that at a time where the vast majority of party political leaders have been completely silent on Brianna's death, I would like people to really recognize what just happened and how much we appreciate that. And up next, we have the absolutely legendary Ros Cavney.
Hi, I'm Ros Caveney. I'm she, her. I've been writing some poems about Brianna's death, and I'm going to share a few of those with you. Sorry? Oh, I'm Ros Caveney. I'm she, her. I write poetry. I've written a few poems about Brianna. These are a few of them. She was as good as we have ever been. Survived the gauntlet each day home from school and then her life of service. Listen, you'll hear everyone who knew her on the scene say, she said I was lovely. Showed me how to do my eyes or where to get my pills. She did her homework. Then her evening fills. Delight, charm, helpfulness. That's all gone now, except her memory. That's not enough to fill the gap she leaves. We stand in tears. She should have had another 60 years for love and art and dance and all that stuff. Spit in the face of bigots. Ask them why the young, the smart, the pretty had to die. Oh, this is a poem I wrote after one of the London Vigils. I am the oldest person in this crowd, aware that I'm lucky to be old and standing in this crowd out in the cold. Their silent weeping, frighteningly loud. There are so many that we fill the street. She was alone that cold day in the park. Our candle flames are bright. Her death was dark, snuffed out. She lay and bled at killer's feet. She never knew the times before they lied, and she is dead, and they are lying still. Her death and wounds the proof that their lies kill, and she was only 16 when she died. The crowd lie on the ground or bend the knee. She should have lived to be as old as me. And lastly, this one. They want us gone, but not to take the blame for killing or to stand and watch it done. Perhaps it happens elsewhere. They would run rather than witness. Will not say her name. Bloodless, they keep their lace white gloves as clean as First Communion. Eliminate, mandate out of existence, trans debate. They never say precisely what they mean, and yet it's this, and this 1,000 times, in parks, in prisons, in hospitals, in homes, and on the streets of capitals. And all we have to save us is my rhymes, your anger, and our crowd, and all the while, the memory of her gentle, wistful smile. Thanks. Good night. Remember, Brianna.
Thank you so much for that, Roz. Finally, from our live speakers, we have the wonderful Marion Din, Director of Transactual and co-founder of QTIPOC Knots.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me tonight, and thank you all so much for coming. I can see how many of you they are joining us virtually tonight. So thank you all so much, and I hope you're keeping well during these incredible, difficult times. Brianna Ghey was a 16-year-old trans girl who was a beacon of positivity and a larger-than-life character who would leave a lasting impression on all that met her. In her short life, she helped her friends access medical care for their transitions, had to deal with transphobic bullies, and documented her ups and downs of being a trans girl online. Her friend Amelia said, she made me feel unstoppable as a trans girl and feel really pretty because she would never let me put myself down. And that's from a really moving article from Ben Hunt, which you might have seen. So the current climate, we know that LGBT phobia is on the rise. As we heard from one of our speakers, in the last 10 years, trans hate crime has increased by 1,300% in the last 10 years. In the last 5 years, transphobic hate crime has increased 249%, and that's based on the Home Office's own statistics. We are in a hostile political climate. There are politicians who are calling for the removal of trans content in schools. There are willful misinterpretations on the Equality Act. We continue to experience delays in banning conversion therapy. The media continuously prioritizes transphobic rhetoric and continues to be hostile towards an incredibly marginalized and villainized and vulnerable group. At one point, believe it or not, the UK had a world-leading framework on LGBTQ plus inclusion, but due to our complacency and the culture war driven by many in politics within all parties, or should I say most parties, and the mainstream media, it has led to a steady decline in the quality of life of trans people, which is now speeding up. Many in our community worry that our hard-won rights are at risk of erosion and worse. It's our responsibility to create a safe and supportive environment for all young people, regardless of their gender identity. We need to take a stand against the discrimination and violence that trans youth face every day. We must work together to ensure that every trans young person in the UK can live life free from fear and with dignity. So, what can we do? Well, institutions can take concrete steps to protect trans youth in our schools, hospitals, social services, and also universities. We need to provide resources and support to teachers, counselors, and healthcare providers so that they can better understand the unique needs of trans youth and provide them with the care and support that they need. We also need to work to change the social and cultural norms that perpetuate discrimination against trans people. This means promoting education and awareness about trans issues, challenging harmful stereotypes and stigmas, and advocating for policies and laws that protect the rights of trans people. So that's what institutions can do. But what can we do as individuals? Well, from Transactional, check out our resources on easy actions that you can take for trans rights, whether you have 10 minutes or an hour or longer, whatever you can do, please support us. You can read and share petitions, you can sign and share petitions and resources as well. You can write to your MP. There's templates out there, and adding your own thoughts and perspectives is really important. Even handwriting them helps as well. You can donate money or even your time to LGBTQ plus or trans specific community groups in your area. In your schools, universities, and workplaces, you can lobby for more inclusive HR policies and support LGBTQ plus awareness raising and networks as well. And also, don't just amplify the narrative of trans horror. Find and share stories of trans joy. This will help young people as well as supporting trans activism as well. Also, to say that most of trans allyship is the small things you can do around you. Recognize the power that you have in your life. For example, having conversations with your parents, family, friends, and colleagues, and importantly, challenging them if they say anything anti-LGBTQ+. There's lots of ways that you can do this, but bringing them along in their journey of understanding is key in helping to change attitudes, not just for them, but for the people around them too. Ultimately, protecting trans youth is about creating a more just and equitable society for us all. It's about recognizing that every young person deserves to live free from fear and to have the opportunity to thrive and reach their full potential. So let's work together in creating a world where all trans youth are valued, respected, and protected. There have been over 50 plus vigils around the UK for Brianna. You've heard from so many powerful speakers in person and online. Stand with us. Stand with us. Defend us and our human rights and keep on that pressure for change. And specifically for those of us within the LGBTQ plus community, know that we are not alone. We are so beautiful and diverse and vibrant and powerful. It's true what they say that there's strength in numbers. Keep checking in with your friends and chosen family. We will get through this. Let's keep fighting for a world where trans people can live safely, freely, and with dignity. Thank you. Keep checking in with your friends and chosen family. We will get through this. Let's keep fighting for a world.
Andrews, the writer, researcher, and activist. So we're now going to play those for you. Oh, I'm being told no sound, even though I am not muted. Is there sound now? Okay, now there's sound. I'll do that again. Literally, as I was just saying, and thanking our speakers for being so patient with this unusual format that we're having to deal with, I'm also very grateful to all of the people watching and your patience. We sent some really wonderful messages in the chat this whole time. And I will say again, I apologize for the roster of animals that have been joining me as I try to speak. So a huge thank you to all of our speakers who spoke just now. We're really grateful for their participation. And we're now going to have a set of pre-recorded videos that people have sent in to us. We have a message from Trans Safety Network, a message from the CEO of Gallup, a message from the CEO of Pink News, and then we have the wonderful activist Heather Herbert, and then finally a poem from Dr. Felix C.S. Andrews, who is a writer, researcher, and activist. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Jess, a researcher with Trans Safety Network. If you don't know who we are, we're a UK-wide organisation. All of us are trans volunteers, dedicated to monitoring anti-trans harm. In my speech today, I want to discuss a difficult question. That is, what is a vigil? Over the last 2 weeks, we have seen many vigils take place, all across the country. In its simplest terms, a vigil is an event, and one which the trans community has had to put their energy into organising. There's a lot of admin involved. Where are we going to find a sound system? Can we find a BSL interpreter at this short notice? Can we print flyers with information for mental health first aid, given the traumatic experience of knowing Brianna Ghey, a teenage girl, died afraid in this country only 2 weekends ago? And also because of the very vivid and traumatic experiences many of us have had with serious transphobic violence, that an incident like this necessarily resurfaces. How do we vet speakers to make sure that this doesn't get hijacked by cisgender-run organisations trying to sell papers and recruit support for political parties which have never done us any good? How do we remain sensitive to her loved ones with all the uncertainty that comes with a sudden death yet to be fully investigated? How do we balance trying to find out their wishes with the gross invasion of their privacy by the right-wing media, who have already gone door to door throughout her community, trying to find her name before transition? How do we do the necessary care that is part of creating a safe space for all the grief that everyone is feeling? Because, first and foremost, a vigil is about grief. Our collective grief for Brianna, a child, a young woman who was taken from the trans community, our community, before she even had a chance to go out and explore the world fully on her own terms. But the trans community and Brianna's loved ones have not been given the space to grieve. As an organisation at Trans Safety Network, we have been dealing with a battery of questions about the killing, often coming from the very same news outlets who have for years been calling us rapists and a violent threat to women and a contagious mental illness that young girls need to be protected from. What do we think about her death certificate? It will be written far too soon. She should have had a long, happy life. She should be with her family. I wish more than anything that most of us had never heard her name. The pettiness and cruelty of all of this is central. The drain on our grieving community by institutions which routinely perform their contempt for us, while we work hard to make her short life and the suffering that ended it mean something, is profitable for them. In a transphobic society, trans death creates a value that trans lives do not hold. When our deaths are political, when we are killed within a society which is organised towards our extinction, then our vigils must be political too. They must be a protest. They must be filled by the rage we rightly feel. Whatever the specific circumstances leading to her death, we're currently living through a period of unprecedented moral repugnance towards trans people, promoted and enabled by the apathy and complicity of powerful public figures. Trans social death happens not just at the moment we cease breathing, nor at the hands of those who take our lives. It happens through an entire system committed to extinguishing us, in the cisgender media that reviles us, in educational diversity and inclusion policies, where the meagre protections for trans youth to access something as basic as safe toilets have been gutted in many schools by lobbying from hate groups like Transgender Trend, Sex Matters, and GenSpect. It happens through the same media establishment consuming whatever nourishment they can from her, even in her death. The Times retroactively changing their article on her death to remove reference to her as a girl, to add her dead name, until the outcry in response forced them to use. Because it does. Because Brianna Ghey was a human being and she did not deserve this, and that is the only point that matters. What is a vigil? It is something that never should have happened. The death of Brianna Ghey is a failure by our society at the deepest level. It should not take a vigil, a public show of grief, to value the lives of trans children. Brianna's life should have been valued enough not to be taken in the first place.
Thank you for organising this space to remember and mourn Brianna. First and foremost, this is a space to remember and grieve for a young girl taken violently and early, and to send strength and support to her family and those who loved her. Here at Gallup, we have seen the escalation in trans people contacting us in the wake of hate crime, and we are seeing the impact of Brianna's death on the people contacting us, on trans and non-binary people, those who love the trans people in their lives, and on the wider community who have seen one of our own taken from us. We are sad, or frightened, or angry, or all three. Brianna's death has come after many years of escalating, unchecked, transphobic narratives in the media and in public life, and the media response to her death has been unforgivable. The least we can expect from any decent society is to respect a murdered child and the wishes of her family, and not to force anyone who loved her through any further distress. We are sorry and angry that this wasn't the case for Brianna. We know that many people at today's vigil may have experienced abuse and hate crime, and I just want to remind you that we can offer support and practical help if you need us. Our services are run by and for the community, and if you want to receive support from someone within the trans community, we have trans specialists who are here to help you. Our national LGBT+ hate crime helpline is open 48 hours a week by phone at 0800 999 5428 and online at gallup.org.uk. It is ever more important that we come together to support one another and to push back against what is happening in the UK today for trans and non-binary people and the wider queer community. We are with you tonight in spirit and solidarity, and send love and hope to you all. Rest in power, Brianna.
Hello, my name's Benjamin Cohen. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm the Chief Executive of Pink News. I wanted to share this message on behalf of everyone who works at Pink News, alongside our readers and viewers from all around the world, as we commemorate Brianna's life at today's vigil. For all of us at Pink News, we feel that it's our personal responsibility to ensure that Brianna's story is provided a platform, and that her life and tragic death is treated with the respect and dignity that everyone deserves. Brianna was a young girl whose future and opportunities have been stolen, and her name joins a long list of so many other LGBTQ+ people who lost their lives too soon. Brianna's memory will live on in all of our minds, and we send our condolences to her family, friends and loved ones at this exceptionally difficult time. I do hope, though, that the outpouring of love and support that we've seen from so many people in the LGBTQ+ community and our allies has provided some small comfort to all of those who've loved and lost her.
Two weeks ago we lost Brianna. I didn't know her. I didn't follow her on TikTok. But we've all, every trans person here, every trans person across the country, we've all shared her experience. It doesn't matter if hate killed her, hate destroyed her life, just as it dominates the lives of all of us. Hate fueled by the press, by politicians, and I'm sad to say, hate allowed by our allies who turn a blind eye. As I wrote this, I'm reminded of a famous quote by Dr. Angela Davis. In a racist society, it's not enough to be non-racist. You have to be anti-racist. You don't get a free pass because you claim you're not racist. You have to actively oppose racism. In a transphobic society, it's not enough to be non-transphobic. You have to be anti-transphobic. You have to stand up to transphobia in your workplace. Stand up to transphobic senior journalists. Stand up to transphobia in your party or your faction. Just days before Brianna was murdered, the leader of the major UK political party claimed she was too young to know her own gender. The day after she was murdered, another MP retweeted the LGB Alliance, claiming that trans kids are just gay kids being converted. We've heard transphobic rhetoric echoed by MPs in Westminster and MSPs in Hollywood. As soon as it became known that she was trans, the mainstream press went out of their way to show her the maximum disrespect. After contacting her ophthalmologist to dead name her, they erased the fact she was a girl from their reports and referred to her as transgender teen. In a transphobic society, it's not enough to be non-transphobic. You have to be anti-transphobic. None of this is happening in a vacuum. Brianna's murders didn't come out of the blue. It's a direct result of transphobia shown by politicians and newspapers. I didn't know Brianna, but I do know that she left behind family and friends that love her. The majority of people in the UK don't really care one way or another about us. Most people have a live and let live attitude. We must remember that gender critical crowd are a very small but very vocal group. I believe the best way we can remember her is to live our lives as authentically as we can. My siblings, we are a strong group. We've had to be. We will mourn her, we will remember her, and with the help of our cis allies, we will overcome the hate that killed her.
Cut Through for Brianna Ghey by Phoenix C.S. Andrews. Fringe, cut, swish, cut, swirl, cut, laugh, cut, dream, cut. You were the girl who cut through the gloom. Colour and humour, smart digs, cut. Boom! Cut. Gone. Cut. Gone. Cut. It's not the knife we remember. It's not counting our dead. It's not the minute of silence. It's all the things you said. Care and friendship in between. You wanted to be known. You wanted to be seen. Not tears, not swipes, not scrolling through the pain, but dance. Cut. Skirt. Cut. Teen. Cut. Dream. Cut. Smile. Cut. NC share.
Thank you so much to everyone who sent us those videos. They're really wonderful, and all of the speeches that we've had today. This is us essentially wrapping up. So after this, we're going to have 2 prayer readings for an interfaith part of the vigil, which we've put towards the end so that if you personally have any kind of religious trauma or that's something you are simply not interested in, you don't have to hang around, or you can stick around and watch them and partake in the chat. That's absolutely fine. We'll play those, and yeah, just a huge thank you to everyone. A big thank you to our moderator team. Sorry, I have one cat here and another one who is just causing chaos. He's just thrown my mouse off the desk. You'll notice I do a lot of nervous laughing when things go a bit awry, which always feels a bit inappropriate when it's something like this. But this has been really difficult for everyone to put together, not just transactivism and our help with transactual, but the moderators and people we've spoken to who wanted to be able to speak today and couldn't. There have been a lot of people who were planning to speak, who prepared speeches and couldn't, for the very understandable reason that it has been too hard. And a lot of people are very burnt out at the moment. And ultimately, I'm very glad that we're here, and I'm very glad that we're doing this, and that the people who haven't had the opportunity to go to vigils have been able to be here and speak to one another and have the kind of community they wouldn't have been able to have otherwise. But I wish we weren't doing this, and I wish that we didn't have to do this, and we shouldn't have to do this. And whenever I think about the fact that we are doing this, all I can think is I have a nephew that is a few years younger than Brianna, who I would do anything for, and I can't imagine anyone doing to him what they did to her. And no family, nor friends, nor anyone should have to deal with and process what has happened. And it's very hard for us as a community, knowing when a marginalized person has been lost to something so violent, to have to process that, because it's a reflection on a kind of fear that we all have. But ultimately, I feel the worst for her family, and I wish that they didn't have to go through this. Anything that we feel is only a tiny percentage of what they have to go through. So on that note, we're now going to play the interfaith videos. And as I say, if that's not something you're comfortable with, you can leave or you can hang around in the chat. And a big thank you to everyone that's been involved in this.
God of light and life, we entrust Brianna to your loving presence, and we pray for her family and friends, and for all who grieve for her now. Hear the cry of our hearts as we call out for justice and mercy. Give your peace to those who are frightened, and your light to those in darkness. Give us the courage to love each other and to love those who would wish us harm. Inspire us to build a world where all people are valued and safe, and all your creation is honoured. Amen.
I'd like to start by saying thank you to Trans Activism UK for offering to us all a multi-faith space to share our faith and vigils for Brianna and trans communities today. I'm Ellie, my pronouns are they, them. I am a queer Lokian who wishes to say a prayer to you all today, not only for the many trans Lokians, but also for the allyship to all the faiths and people gathered here today. Dear Brianna, we love you still. Your dreams are in our hearts, alive and well. May Loki give her a Haltwin dress, as she deserves a safe flight to her peaceful rest. Our queer ancestors shall set her free, gifting Brianna a home atop the world tree. As they guide Brianna to the great beyond, they sing to us to remain alive and strong. They say as we grieve we must stamp our feet and let the world feel the love and our heat. Ancestry veneration in Norse Hebrew is a practice I struggled with at first. I feel I share this with many of the queer people of faith, as we can sometimes struggle to connect with these parts of our faith that talk about this subject, due to the trauma of rejection we often face in many spaces, in society spaces and in family spaces. When I opened up to the queer ancestors and queer spirits, those related to me and those unrelated, I felt this healed the trauma for me. I felt open arms of home with the spiritual queer communities. Overall, for me, that queer spirits can help us welcome our loved ones as they pass through, and queer ancestors are there to also support and hold us as we grieve. They share our pain and comfort us as we continue living. We also comfort them by how we can thrive every day as our true selves in the living world, in some cases in ways that they never got to experience, and they live through us. So this prayer and ritual performed at an altar is dedicated to them and can help cultivate a connection with our queer ancestors throughout time. Grant us the right to love we are often denied. We are not the first or the last. We do belong everywhere. Queer love from below and above. Queer love from then to now. We have always been here. We belong to the everywhere. We love and are loved. Queer ancestors forever, my beloved. For all of us who existed through time, hear this chime and smell this time. As I feel the wind's kisses on my face, telling me I am loved, so did you in your time and place. As I feel the warmth of this candle and I see its light to show me my love, so did you in your time and place. As I feel the water cleanse my hand and wash away the hate so I can love again, so did you in your time and place. as I feel the earth under me and I feel it nurture my strength to protect my love, as did you in your time and place. Queer love from below and above, queer love from then to now. We have always been here, we belong to the everywhere. We love and are loved, queer ancestors, forever my beloved. For all of us who exist throughout time, hear this chime and smell this time. Know that you are still loved. A kiss on each cheek, one for luck and one as a goodbye. Thank you.
Well done, Shara.